just make surprisingly polite dinner guests. I have never committed a crime, never even came close to witnessing one. But here I was, serving a meal to people marked for death. I had crossed the front line. If defending fictional villains was a job, my inbox would be flooded with cease and desist letters from Disney, from staging a one-person protest on the Grin's valid concerns about over-commercialization, to arguing that Ursula's contract terms were perfectly clear. I'll proudly stand as a devil's advocate in every English class. I do not condone their actions. Rather, I understand that they are the products of their circumstances. Yet, the night I hid fugitives in my house, this line, once so clear to me, became impossibly blurred. To make a villain feel seen, first say their name. Traitors, terrorists, that's what they call it. The Burmese military flooded the airways with warnings about enemies of the state, broadcasting flickered footage of arrested protesters. I censored, bloody, and beaten. The government's word is absolute. At least that's what I've been taught. The 2021 coup was no different. With the violent unrest, it was hard not to doubt the protesters' innocence. It was easier to believe that evil had a face, sharp features, sinister smells, the unmistakable markers of wrongness. The idea of clear-cut evil was oddly comforting, easy to recognize and avoid. But when protesters pounded on our door that night, they were unexpectedly ordinary. They wore the same clothes, spoke the same language, so similar they could almost be us, only frantic, breathless, and desperate. With the police only steps away and against our every instinct, my parents let them in. Arrest or execution, those were at stake. But if I had closed the door on these people, I would be no different from those who wanted them dead. May, a young girl replied. My name's May. To make a villain feel understood, ask them their side of the story. I handed them blankets and cups of warm water, noticing the rawness on May's fingers from the tear gas canisters she had thrown back at the soldiers. I wanted to ask them everything, who they were, what they had done, but I held back. The last thing they needed was interrogation. Sitting shoulder to shoulder in the farthest room from the front door, we counted down the minutes until the military curfew lifted. They shot at us. No warning, May finally spoke. The government said they were armed, that they fired first. But May didn't have a gun. She didn't even have shoes, just her covered feet that had been running for days. I tried to help my students up, but they, swallowing tears, shot them in the head. Her voice trembled as she forced herself to continue. I should have moved faster. I should have pulled them out of the line of fire. I should have. I couldn't think. My feet wouldn't move. I just watched as they fell, one by one by one. And I just ran. It takes 6 bullets to end a life, but only one exit wound to feel its pain. The world keeps spinning when someone else bleeds, but when it's yours, everything stops. Until it's your life, your blood, your soul, everything stops. You will never truly know what it feels like to be on the other end of the barrel. The scariest part wasn't that I understood her. It was that I might have done the same thing. We like to think that we'd be different, that we make better choices. But survival, it asks us to make choices that we never thought we'd be capable of. It's terrifying how quickly your sense of right and wrong blur when you're cornered, when the world no longer feels safe, when the rules no longer apply. Sitting there, I knew that if I were pushed into those same conditions, if I had nowhere else to go, I too could make those decisions. In that moment, I understood they weren't villains. They were students, teachers, sons, daughters, people caught in a fight they didn't ask for but couldn't walk away from. It's easy to reduce people to headlines, to categorize them into neat little boxes, to believe the narratives were fed to make the world feel more manageable, less complex. But people aren't that simple. They're not just good or bad, heroes or villains. When we oversimplify the human narrative, we ignore thoughts, feelings, motivations, layers that make us human. Villains are misunderstood because it's easier to hate them than to face the parts of us we fear in ourselves. It's easier to question Maleficent's wrath than to wonder how anyone could remain whole after their wings were violently severed. It's easier to call Medusa a monster than to question the system that worships a god who raped her. This doesn't just happen in fiction. Only in a courtroom will a victim be forced to serve longer than her rapist and harsher than her abuser. In 300,000 years of human existence, we have made a criminal justice system, one that still sees victims as perpetrators. In America alone, 6% of all incarcerated people were wrongly convicted. A doctor's error can kill a life, but a wrongful conviction can trap you in a living death. You turn people into villains because it makes the world cleaner, simpler. But if they're evil, then we must be good. If they're wrong, then we must be right? But life, it doesn't work that way. I believe the greatest reflection of our character is how we treat our enemies. It's easy to uphold justice when it applies to those we care for. But it's when we're faced with those who wronged us, we must question, can we treat them with the same fairness we demand for ourselves? Justice doesn't enter our biases. It's neither selective nor arbitrary. It rests on the principle that we must hold all to the same standard. We often say that justice is blind, but it cannot be. It must not be. We must see the context and story behind every decision. After all, laws are only as good as the people they serve, whether they wear a badge or a villain mask. I want to humanize the very systems that govern us. Maybe we're all just one desperate decision away from being the villain in someone else's story. Thank you.
Just remind the speakers, I'm good with 7:42 there, but there are no penalties.